you a chance to get on board. If you have not done it yet, be sure and in the box it says either it's above or I'm not sure where it is depending on your device, but it says to like the live stream app. That way I can read your comments. I definitely want to be able to tune into your comments today and just kind of have a little open forum before we get started. So I will be right back. Okay, hey everybody, it's Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and welcome to day 2. And I hope you are having a wonderful day. I literally woke up thinking about you guys. I'm so excited about today and the things I'm going to be sharing with you. And today is probably more of the workshop-y piece that we're going to be doing, but it's a very important piece. If you have not already, be sure and tune into the handouts that I have provided. You can find them either in the file or in the Google section. And I wanted to share with you and show you what I have here today for you. Okay. Of course, we've got our regular handout that we're going to be going through today. I'm on my daughter's computer and there may be some alerts coming up. So if you see things pop up on the screen, I just apologize in advance. But now I'm going to show you that I have an extra folder here because there is a video, a terrible, terrible video that I recorded last year where I was teaching people how to use the one command and muscle testing to uncover some hidden beliefs. And this is a really powerful process. And so how to, really start noticing what are the secret things that are hiding you. I've got an exercise there. This was probably one of my most popular broadcasts that I did. And it is a really powerful tool for helping you identify and uncover hidden beliefs. And so I wanted to make sure that you had that. I want to mention too, straight up, that there are going to be 2 broadcasts today because I have a little bonus piece that I wanted to be sure and take you on. So this is our regular one that we're doing every day at noon. Then there's going to be a special one at 3 p.m. Central where I'm going to take you through this incredible process that I just have to call it meeting others on the inner planes of existence. And it's how to use you could think about your mind's eye, but when I'm talking to people, I often explain that all of me is having a conversation with all of you, okay? And on day 1, I mentioned that I meet people from the position of meeting them master to master, that inner positioning, right? That the greatest part of me is going to greet the greatest part of you, and in between us, let there only be love. When we are meeting customers, clients, people who could be a potential partner, someone who maybe we perceive, especially in business, like if you're moving from a small field, like let's say you're doing a lot of personal work to the opportunity to maybe take your work to a corporate level, or you're meeting someone that you perceive to be at a higher status than you. This is really a very powerful method that I'm going to be showing today at 3 o'clock on how to meet them, kind of like the meeting before the meeting. Okay, and Asara and I have been doing this for many years. We teach a lot of people this, but this was almost how I learned to communicate with my family. We are very intuitive people. There's a lot of things that I couldn't talk to my mom about, but we needed to get stuff done. And my mom was intuitive. I was intuitive. And we would wind up kind of having these conversations before the fact. And I didn't realize that this is how she did everything. And somehow I modeled that. Okay. And things would wind up working pretty much the way that I would imagine, like certain objections or phrases. And when I would be contemplating a situation, I would imagine it and I would like shift my inner positioning, or I would hear what they had to say. And if I realized I was trying to push, I could shift my focus from my heart to their heart. And so I'm going to show you how I do that, how I use the power of empathic reflection, but also in how I'm projecting into the future. And I'm noticing, hey, based on what I think, feel now, what outcome do I think is happening? And then I kind of mentally rehearse it. And then I notice what comes up in me and what I imagine they might say. How often do we live our life in fear of, well, I don't want people to think, or what if they say this, or what if I do this and they act like that, right? We are living all these scenarios before they actually happen. Well, I want to teach you how to do that with intention. I mean, if you're going to be fantasizing, you just as well fantasize an outcome that serves you and the people that you were born to serve, right? I mean, just as well, if you're going to fantasize and imagine stuff, why don't you go ahead and fantasize and imagine the stuff that's going to put money in your bank account, and put that money in your bank account in a way that makes you feel good and proud about who you are and what you do, right? If we're going to be thinking about stuff, why don't we think about that, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. I like to have a little open forum before we get started, and then just check in with you, because yesterday we were really talking about setting that intention. What do you want to create, right? And what will you be able to have, be, or do as a result? And then we are unwinding some of that story around what happened when you tried it before, right? And then I don't know if you got to do this yet, but I did put a little homework that's going to be really helpful in relationship to what we're doing today and even later this week. And the homework was, as you're doing that command and you're setting your intention to, once you've done it, I don't know how, I have a full coaching roster, I don't know how, I have 5 new clients, I don't know how, I have $50,000 in my bank account, whatever it is that you're commanding for, whatever the outcome that you're commanding for this week. But also we looked at the next 90 days. Then once we expanded, what I wanted to encourage you to do was to come back down. As you're coming back down your body, and we're doing that unwinding, rewinding, you would bring your attention back to your heart. And then as you're thinking on your heart, you kind of focus on your heart energy, and just notice what happens as you do that. Just kind of focus on your heart. Look down. And just ask yourself a question, either out loud or internally to yourself. I wonder who I could be of service to that would really benefit from working with me. I wonder who. And then if you get blocked, someone's going to pop up in your imagination, in your mind. You're going to think, well, I don't know, I'd love to just talk to anybody at this point. But you may even notice that if you would think, well, I'd like to talk to so-and-so. It's like, well, I worked with them before, or I talked to them before. They weren't really serious. But your mind, they came to you after making a command for your intention, right? And then you tuned into your heart, and your heart said to connect with them. So what your next step would be is I wanted you to, like, ideally write down 10. On a lot of the sales trainings, if you're, like in straight up action steps, there's this 10, 10, 10 rule. Okay, 10, 10, 10 rule. And it is 10 phone calls to 10 people that you haven't talked to before. Okay, that if you're wanting to grow your business or make sales, 10, 10, 10. 10 people you haven't talked to yet, follow up with 10 people that you have talked to, and that could be by phone call, email, or chat, right? And then 10, follow up with 10 people you've done business with in the past. 10, 10, 10. If you're doing that every day, you're committing to that action, you will move the needle on your business. People, if they did nothing else, nothing about who they could sell to, but think about who they could connect to. And really, the big question, and I have to credit Terry Levine for this. What an incredible teacher, Terry Levine. She says, hey, I just want to call people and find out what's going right. And then I listen. And then I may offer help for them. If I have any advice or direction for them, I could give it, but she didn't try to coach or do healing. But if there's something she feels like could be of help or service to them, then she lets them know. Sometimes that's a referral. Sometimes it's, I've got this program that what you're talking about, it sounds exactly like what I'm doing, or it sounds like, things are going great. Who do you know? Because you and I know each other. Who do you know could use some help? Who would be a good person, right? So it's just having a conversation, and these conversations can go anywhere from 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But if you just even said, it's like, hey, I just want to have a 5-minute conversation with you. I just want to check in with you and see how you're doing, with the intention of just finding out what's going right and finding out, because people will start talking and then soon they let you know what's not going right. And then if there's a way that you realize, hey, there's something more that we can talk about, then you set up time to have a longer conversation. Then once you have the longer conversation, then you would invite them to possibly work with you to some degree, right? But I found that type of conversation really helpful. Even when I was starting out brand new, didn't know anyone. I was just hoping to be able to get some sessions in because I was still a practitioner doing the practice thing. And who do you know? Hey, I just want to meet you. I don't know who you are, what you're about. This is my goal, my dream, and I'd love to get advice from you. And asking for advice is really a powerful method too. So that could be part of your 10, 10, 10. 10 new people, 10 people that, now what did I say? Oh my gosh. So 10 new people, 10 follow-ups, and then 10 people that are past clients, right? Past connections. And you go, where the heck would I find these 10 people I've never talked to? Well, I don't know. I bet you're a member of a Facebook group that is, it would actually help to be a member of fewer Facebook groups and really participate in some groups and be of some service. And then if someone's mentioning a problem that you might have some knowledge about, offer, just message them, say, I noticed you posted about this, and I was wondering if you had a few minutes to talk about it. We could chat about it. And, that's a great place. LinkedIn, how many people get those 10,000 LinkedIn messages a day? A lot of it's spammy, but also in building your network, devoting time to build your network with intention, Very powerful. And just reaching out, hey, I notice you do this and you're connected to this people. I'm growing my network. And I know you are too. And I'd like to find out who you are and what you're up to. And I'd share a little bit with what I'm up to. And maybe if we have some common ground, or we might find a way to help each other. Very simple. We very often overthink it, right? So when we're thinking about this meeting master to master, I want to meet, hey, there's something I'm really great in. I got a really beautiful comment from a friend of mine. I noticed someone was teaching some coaching around getting into corporate training, take your training into corporations. Maybe that's why I gave that example. And I wrote her because I knew she'd done a lot of corporate training. And I said, this is kind of what they're promising. This is some, they gave some plans on, here's what a structure would look like. Here's what a program would look like. And so I asked her for her advice. And she said, well, I'm not really qualified to teach all of that. That's really interesting, but it's got me thinking. And I thought, well, you are so smart. You know, one, you have experience that you probably don't realize, but also you in your network, you know people who could help you deliver, right? And so I think it's very often we stop ourselves in having an idea about what's possible, okay? And why would we do that? Why do we do that? Well, we're conditioned. And yesterday we talked about that scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. And the abundance mindset says there's room for everyone. There's enough, and there's the table can, if there's not enough room at the table, well, we'll just make the table longer. And the abundance mindset also assumes that you have a place at the table, that you're not only just going to the table to take, but you're bringing something to the table that is there for everyone. It's like the ultimate potluck dinner of consciousness, right? That's the abundance mindset. The scarcity mindset is, this is mine, this is my territory, who are you, what right do you have to get in here, right? And our fears feed that scarcity, okay? But also, if we have that mindset, we have the identity of one who is not enough. Not only we don't have enough, or there's not enough, or they're more than us, right? We have this identity that we are not enough. And so our core identity blocks our success. It literally turns on and off our unique gifts and abilities. And if you are hearing an alert or you're seeing pictures pop up, please forgive me. As I said, I'm on my daughter's laptop, which looks and sounds so much better. So happy. So I want to come back to the handout to make sure you have it. If you did not find it, it is in the file section. And we're going to tune in to connecting into your unique sales genius. Okay. But first, I want to uncover some of these hidden beliefs. And I want to talk about this genius idea first. I don't know if you know this. And now I'm trying to say the name of the person that I got it from, but he's the same person who came up with photographic reading, right, where you could just flip through the book and get the information. Incredible teacher and trainer. And I was listening to a broadcast, and he said that the word genius is the same root word, has the same root word as genie, when we think about genie in a bottle. Okay. And the ancient Greeks believed that we were each born with a little genie, that its job was to help us fulfill our soul's purpose and mission, and to have this greater fulfilled. Paul Shield, thank you, Alvaro. Paul Shield. I could see his face. I could hear his voice. I could not call his name. And so this is something that is part of us. And I really grabbed a hold of that, because when we're talking about that greater intelligence or our higher self, isn't that what we're talking about? We're talking about this little extra. How many people consider themselves intuitive, or they've had that moment where you're kind of talking and it feels like it's more than you, but it's a greater version of you, right? There's like kind of something happening there, and people notice, right? Or you're with a client, you're in that flow, you're in that zone. And then sometimes you're noticing, like, wow, I don't even know why I thought to say that. He did this, and boy, I just popped up with the right thing, or the right idea popped in, or I noticed this was happening, and you were just so completely engaged. But some greater part of you arrived. And sometimes this could happen if you're a coach or a healer, but this happens in so many circumstances. I mean, I experienced it way back in the olden days when I was waiting tables, and I experienced it as an apartment manager, that there was just this complete engagement. And this is what we're talking about on Your Unique Genius. But what can stop us from accessing it is some ideas that we may have about ourselves or other people that we don't want to be like. And even the idea of who we do not want to be, or who we're judging, right? Who we're not meeting in their mastery, then that will literally turn off skills, attributes, and abilities and stop us from connecting in to that part of us. You know, where I got this idea about the Sales Genie was back in the day with the one command. Now, I had done it to a degree when I was an apartment manager, but with the one command, we were on this big learning curve, because Sarah had grown her other businesses in a very organic, old school way. And, you know, building relationships and going to networking meetings and connecting in to just like, hey, where's my ideal customer and how do I, relate to them? And in the olden days, you had to pick up a phone or get an introduction. That's what you did. I remember actually asking people to write letters of introduction that I would send to other people requesting a meeting. I mean, that's how it went. But Asara grew her business very well that way. And mine was pretty organic too. I was really used to working the neighborhoods, and I knew how to leverage off of other people's marketing efforts. Thank you, Kim Davis, wherever you are, because she wouldn't let us invest in advertising. And so she said, everybody around us is already marketing, and they're spending tons of money. Let's just go ahead and catch their traffic. And so we wound up, my property, I'm not lying, was, I don't know, I had to add that, but my properties were consistently number one in the neighborhood, highest occupancy, lowest turnover. I won property of the month all the time. I was one of the few managers that bonused because of exceeding sale goals. We had the funnest office. We sang, we danced, we worked our butts off. We ate lunch together in the office, but we just really created this really great atmosphere, and these ideas would start, just flowing, and we had the freedom to just implement them and try them out, and we got really big results. So one of the ways that I did that was kind of having a mental conversation with the property, which we're going to be learning later. But also, I had to overcome my own ideas about what an apartment manager was. Okay. And I had to overcome my own ideas about maybe what a psychic was or a hypnotist. I got my hypnotherapy training, and suddenly everybody's asking me, hey, can you make me bark like a dog? You're not going to make me quack like a duck, are you? And it's like, no, why would I do that? Why would they ask that? And it's because all they'd ever seen was stage hypnotist, and who was manipulative and creepy, or they'd watch Vincent Price. Remember those old movies like, and now you will do something completely against your will and serve me. And so they had all these ideas. So I had to learn how to overcome my own negative beliefs about who I was and what I was doing, and my own negative beliefs about what people might mistake me for. So that's what this is about. And I want to kind of play with this a little bit. Okay, I want to say hi to Emily and Alvaro. I see that we have some other folks on the line too. I bet Sue is here, but if you're on, just say hi and give me your name because I can't necessarily see everybody. But if you've got your hand out, I have here right at the top, what comes to mind when you think of these each of these types of the professional person? Okay, and then I have on column A is the salesman, right? And then we have column B, the expert. What you see too is, hey, Miss Emily. we have positive and negative. So there's maybe some positive things even about a negative person, right? You have to give it to them. They got the discipline. They get the job done. I might think they're skeezy, but they're making more money than me. You got to tell the truth. Tell the truth about what you think and feel. So for yourself and for the purposes here, let's just think about this word salesman. Okay, salesman. We're going to think about that first because, one, most people, even though sales could be the core of their business, and I'm thinking about in terms of, let's say someone in real estate or they're a broker, and sales is probably about 60-70% of what they do. Emily, you're a broker. How much of your life would you say is dedicated to sales? What percentage? Okay. If you could plug that in, I'd love to see that. But you may not consider yourself a salesman. And if you think about it, salesman and sales lady kind of have different connotations. So if I think about a salesman in a positive way, I'd go, oh, he's got on his Brooks Brothers or I don't even know why. I can't even think the last time I saw a salesman in a Brooks Brothers suit. Now they're more likely to be the guys in the white or blue shirts with a tie, right? Or now they have the polo shirt, right? But there's somebody in your mind's eye. What popped up for me, because I'm older than many of you, I'm sure, is that Brooks Brothers suit idea, right? And negatively, a salesman would be someone in a tacky 70s polyester suit or a garish 80s thing, and they're pushy. I also think about the guys who, I don't even think about the guys on the nice car lots. I think about the guys at the skeezy car lots that they come out and they're all kind of little grody looking, right? So there's some different ideas. I have some positive, I have some negative. I can think about professional, polished. They're really prepared. They really are about the script. They have that killer instinct, right? But then I could think about some negative qualities that they just want to get the job done. They're winners, losers. They're going to push. They're going to be controlling. I don't know. I don't know what ideas you may have that comes up to salesmen. When I think about saleswoman, I'm thrown back to the days when I was I don't know how I got this job or why I got it, but I sold high-end maternity wear. Okay. And there was a lady that was there. She was older. I was in my late 20s, and I was in my mid 20s then, but she just would kind of stand there. People would try and close. We had to go into the dressing room with these poor women, and we'd bring all the clothes and we would, help them get dressed and undressed. And then the woman would look in the mirror with her body that looks nothing like she ever saw it before. And the woman, she'd stand there like this. Yeah, that looks cute on you. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's cute. Everything was, yeah, cute. Yeah, that's good. And she would push people to make the sales, and she consistently got higher sales, but she was gamifying it because she had the highest rate of returns. A good 30 to 40% of her sales got returned every month. I had high sales, but I had fewer returns because I looked for the moment that people would go. I looked for that moment in apartments. I looked for that moment waiting tables. I looked for that moment when I had my gift basket business. I looked for that moment when I'm on stage. I look for that moment when I'm working with people one-on-one. And when I get that, and You go, yeah, that's right. There's something that lights up. And so that's the moment that I love, right? So if you play around with it, because you're going to meet some of your own prejudice and some of things that maybe there's a little respect there. But what will happen is, guys, if you don't address this, then your gift and the results that they get, you're not going to be able to get for yourself because your judgment keeps it locked up. Does that make sense? Okay, Emily's saying, yep, 80% of what she does is sales. Okay, so spend some time today on this thinking about the salesman. Okay, what are your beliefs, negative beliefs? Then think of yourself, if what do you perceive, not yourself, think of what you perceive an expert to be. Now, we are in an interesting time where just about anybody can label themselves an expert. If you've been on the news, if you've ever watched the news and they have like some Yahoo they're interviewing and it says something like cat whisperer kind of thing, or just some crazy job title, right? But when you think about an expert, what comes to mind? Okay, and just notice, and again, positive, negative. Now, an expert also, there could be some negative things. There could be, hey, they know better than me and they're not going to listen, right? So they look more to research and history, right? And believe it, excuse me, maybe just a second. So let's think in terms of, let's see, a really traditional company, they tend to look at studies done by some old school blue chip, like what was the Harvard study say, what is in the business review, and they look at all these things that have been science, but it's everything from the past in these really narrow fields of study. And that's what I tend to think of an expert, someone who's in a really narrow field of study. They're not like you and I, where we had to learn how to do a lot of different things, and trial and error, and have what my daddy used to call good old common sense, that good old horse trading. But just go ahead and think about what you are perceiving there and what notice. And the reason I want you to do the positive and the negative, along with, hey, this is going to, if you have got a negative idea about someone, it's going to block your ability to activate that within you. But if you pay attention to the positives, pay attention to the positive qualities, that's what you would actually do your commands on. Isn't that interesting? That's where you focus. So I do have, as I mentioned, the video uncovering and clearing negative beliefs with the one command. And this explains a little bit about this more. But we want to identify that negative belief that we would have about someone who, salesman, which is a fictional name, right? Because we don't want to be a salesman per se, but also we don't really necessarily self-identify, as I said before, but we need to do sales. So what we're talking about in our program here is how to access and hone scale the skills of sales and communication. And we want you to start to do it from the positioning of being the expert. If you think about it, as I said before, that master to master, right? We're meeting master to master. Well, your ideal client is an expert on their own life. They're the expert on their business, but there is a missing piece. They've got a blind spot. And the reason that they're talking to you is they need your expertise and your fresh insight to help them solve a problem or to fulfill a desire. It comes down to that. They solve a problem, fulfill a desire. And so if you meet your potential clients or referral partners or JV partners or who, just going around meeting people in the world in general, right? If you're meeting in this business world, expert to expert, you're going to start getting perceived as an expert. You're going to start getting acknowledged is that way, right? That old haloing effect. As you speak about to someone as an expert, like, oh, I just see that you're doing great work and you're really respected and you really know what you're doing when you're communicating. I'm not talking about kissing up. I'm really talking about, that's a really bad example. Like, I really, I respect the hard work that you do. I respect how there's the professionalism and everything you do, just the quality of work that you do. As you start highlighting that in other people, haloing that, they start seeing you through that same halo and that light. And then they start meeting you as the expert. It's a beautiful process. Okay. So what you're going to do is we're going to tune in to what are these qualities that you really appreciate, that you want. Okay. And you could do a one command on each one of them. Now, here's what I've discovered in doing this in a live workshop is I will take people through all the negatives and I'll say, does this sound true or not true? Right. And then what gets uncovered is that is something that someone is projecting about other people or themselves, right? It's something in themselves that they're projecting onto other people or situations. That's what we do. We're humans. We project. We're human projectors. So how can we overcome that? Well, we first check and see, does that feel true? And we make I am statements. Yeah, I'm this way. I'm that way. And I talk about this in the uncovering the hidden beliefs, the negative beliefs with the one command. Okay. And some of the ways that these negative beliefs show up is how we are talking to ourselves in our hopes. Our hopes, wishes, and desires tell us what's possible. Our doubts and fears tell us the truth about who we believe to be. So if we hear ourselves, or you hear somebody on your team saying, well, I have to be pushy to sell my products. I got to get out there. I got to bust it. I got to make it go, right? And it's this pushing energy. Or people will think I'm pushy if I try to sell to them. Or I want to sell my stuff, but I don't want to seem pushy. But what did I say yesterday? If you, or maybe I said this in the Sales by Your Command. If you have a solution that could really help people, how could it harm them? I mean, to have a conversation. There's a famous story Dan Kennedy tells that, he's like famous for guarding his time. And like, if you schedule an hour with him, the minute that clock hits 60 minutes, he rises up and walks out of the room. And he will not say another word to you. You have paid for 1 hour, you get 1 hour, no more. This is how hard he is. And if he's on the phone, and there's someone knocking at the door, he does not answer the door. He doesn't, hang on, someone's beeping in. None of that. He's 100% focused. So he had gone home to work. He was on a phone call with a client, and suddenly he hears his front door. Someone's banging, banging, banging at the front door. And he's not answering. He's not going to answer. Why? Because he's guarding his time. He's on the phone with his client. He doesn't answer the door when he's on the phone. That's it. And the bell's ringing, ringing, ringing. Then the guy, whoever's at the door, they come around the back and they're like banging, banging, banging on the patio door. He looks through and he's like, what the heck? He's looking away. And he says, what does my neighbor want? He knows what my rule is. I've told him. And then finally, the neighbor takes a chair and breaks through the patio glass and says, your roof is on fire. Dan agreed to end his phone call right then. And, I'm not saying to go through and break through, but we need to have at least this level of commitment that we are going to do our best to communicate and be present to the people and not have to bust doors and break down, right? Well, we're going to start meeting them on these inner plane. So if you really do believe that what you have could change someone's life, you have a moral imperative to make it available to them. So what do we want to believe instead? I don't want to be pushy, and I don't want to be pushy, and I've had those conversations with people. I've been at the networking meeting where the person's all a brand new sign up and they're multi-level marketing opportunity, and you try to have a conversation and you can't even find out about them because they're so busy pushing about that product. I want to know who they are as a person, right? And I would like for them to know who I am. This is how business is now, right? So what would be the positive? Well, I'm confident about talking about my products or services, or people see me as an expert because of my knowledge and experience. That's how I'd like to be known. Or it's easy to find and talk to the right people about my product or service. So whatever it is that you want to believe or create within you, instead, we call this instilling beliefs. You would spend some time identifying that. And then you'd make a positive command on each statement. Now, here's the step that a lot of people miss, and it's step 3. Go back and check on that negative feeling or belief. And what difference do you notice? And what new awareness do you have? Now, I don't have it on here, but what I do have is, if you remember yesterday in the first broadcast, on the first handout, what did I have you do? I had you create 3 little vignettes about what would it look like if, your intention were fulfilled. What would be the evidence, right? We spent some time on that. That little piece is so important because you're training your unconscious mind on that beautiful reticular activating system to tune in, and we're going to find the thing that matches what you've commanded, what you picture, visualized, or imagined. Your mental image is hooked up to your heart and your emotions, okay? Your heart is your wisdom, and that is that alignment to your purpose that serves that greater good, that whatever you're doing. I have to give props. Like my first job out of high school was waiting tables, which is why I talk about it. And I have to say too that when I, went to the apartment industry, and then I discovered hypnotherapy, and I started working with ASAR, and we're teaching seminars and workshops. It was my experience as a waitress that probably prepared me for the world more than anything. And in my first job, there's this incredible woman named Betty Barnes. Oh my God. I wish she could have taught seminars. I don't know if you've ever been to a Denny's, like it's just a regular coffee shop. It doesn't have a particular big reputation. Like the best thing people can say about Denny's is, hey, at least I know what I'm getting. It's familiar. It's right here. It's nothing extraordinary, right? And that's where I went to work right out of high school. Betty Barnes was there, and she was my trainer. And Betty was incredible because the first thing she said to me on the first day was, never let anyone make you feel ashamed or embarrassed because you are working as a waitress, which is a big problem. Like if you're in the service industry, retail, whatever, people are horrible. They think they're better than you. They yell at you. They talk down to you. She said, never let anyone talk to you down. She said, you are doing honest work. You're working hard, and you're probably making more money than most women. Like even a lot of secretaries before assistants were a thing, saleswomen, that type of thing. You're making a lot more money. You have a lot more independence. You can go anywhere. You're making money every day. But here's the thing I want you to really know is that you have the ability to make the difference in people's lives every day that most people don't get to. You are going to be meeting people from every walk of life, having every kind of circumstance that you could imagine. And you might be the only comfort or smile they had that day. And I'm going to cry. When she told me that, she lit me up. that elevated this job. Like, there's no dishonor in honest work. And I was really proud, and I had a great time, and I made great money. Here's the kind of person Betty was. Denny's waitress, right? You ever see a VIP station at Denny's? Betty's section was the VIP section. She had a rope. It was dark. She worked the 8 p.m. to 4 p.m., 4 a.m. shift. All the club owners came in, the police officers, business owners, everybody who was anybody in Dallas in the late 70s, they knew Betty, and they wanted to be in Betty's dining room. And that woman, back in the 70s, we're talking, made $300 to $500 a night waiting tables, when the average person probably made 30 to 50. That was Betty, and everybody wanted to be in Betty's section. But that idea about you have a chance to make a difference in someone's lives, that was her guiding principle. So that's what we are connecting into. That's who really taught me about meeting master to master. Okay. And so what would be some of that? What would be your new awareness? Okay. So, we have covered a lot. We've covered a lot. And I want to just take a minute to get a drink. I want to get some feedback. I want to see, what is this making sense so far? Is this useful? Anybody have any questions? You can get a little sip of water, and I'm going to get a little sip of water. How you doing? All right. Now, we have about 15 minutes. I'm going to go through this quickly, but I want to kind of give you a little background here. It's going to sound like I'm telling you a story of my life, but I'm really telling you an example. Okay? So on this exercise, I want to have you tune in and discovering clues to your unique sales genius. And what I didn't get to tell you about before was, I started the story about talking about Asara. I went into my old lady talk about the olden days and things I discovered. But when we were first in this one command, and we're learning about being online, she's writing a book. How do we get our book on Amazon? We're doing live teleconferences. Oh, there's this thing called podcasts. How do we get it up there? How do we meet with these other people online? What the heck is, how do we do webinars? How do we write a sales page? All of that. We're trying to figure it out. Brand new territory while we're running our business. How many people have run into that learning curve, right? I mean, it was kind of painful sometimes. It's kind of exciting. Honestly, I think we might have progressed a lot faster if we had not tried to learn and master everything. But if we had learned enough for what we did and went ahead and hired experts, okay, we were still kind of like that old school, power through, do it our own, but we enjoy the process of learning. And honestly, I wouldn't say we're a workaholic. I'd say we're closer to a workaholic, which means we really like working. We like working hard. But as I would be tuning in to the One Command and bringing this teaching to the world, and who's the where would we take it? Who's our client? We're trying to figure out keywords and all of that stuff, right? I noticed when I would think about the One Command, I'd do commands around, I don't know how I find the right partners. I don't know how I have the right ideas to create, to market the One Command. That was my job. I did the marketing. And I noticed I started kind of having this conversation, and there was this idea kind of starting to come in, and it would be like, since we're marketing online, we probably ought to find people online. This is before Facebook. MySpace was just new, right? I had had a lot of success in a pre-LinkedIn group called Rise Networking. Anybody do that one? Rise Networking. I built a lot of relationships off of that. lots, tons. And so I'm going, more things are online. If we're marketing online, I got to find the people who are online. So I wonder, I don't know what that will look like. I don't even know how to do that or approach people, but I had some of my old school skills. And but it was just kind of talking to me. It's like, you're going to do a podcast. Okay, we do a podcast. No, you're going to find people who have podcasts and you're going to be a guest. Oh, I'll have podcasts and be a guest. Oh, okay. So somehow when I was getting in that space, new questions were arising, right? And my natural way of thinking about doing stuff is, who do I know and who do they know? I always built my business off of not marketing directly to that one-on-one customer, but marketing to the people who had my customer. That's known in some circles as maven marketing, and spending my time building the relationships with the people who are already serving my ideal clients that I'm not a direct competitor for. But we, speak to the same people, we share the values, and then we have some business that we could do together to halo and enhance each other's businesses. So the strategy was real basic. We went on to all the internet talk shows. We just started doing search. Blogspot was huge at the time, and I think there was Voice of America and some different ones. Now, podcasting's a whole other thing. You could just go on and start reaching out to podcast producers, but this was still new. And we'd reach out and we'd say, hey, we heard what you're doing, and we really appreciate what you're doing. We liked this specific thing. And we wanted to introduce you to this book called The One Command, and want to send you a copy and get your feedback on it. We just wanted to have a conversation with you. And we might ask for reviews. We had a ebook version, but we found sending a hard copy was 10 times more powerful. So we made sure we sent a copy, and that set it up. So we do the interview. We found out we had a good interest in the interview. Then we would talk to the podcast host about putting together a program and splitting the proceeds. We tripled our list. I mean, we just went from, I want to say 10x it, because we went from like having a few thousand that we had met one-on-one and connecting with people who knew people, to having hundreds of thousands of people on our list in a very short time. And it was putting money in our bank account. Learning to do that came from the conversation with the One Command. And in this space, it was like this part, I said, there's a part of me that knows what to do. I'm just going to connect into it, and I'm going to make that happen. Okay. So I just let that part of me that knew, I don't know how, I only know is so now, and I am fulfilled, right? That's what we're saying. But there is a part of you that already knows, and you have a unique sales genie within you that aligns to the way that one aligns to your values, and it aligns to the way that you love to work, and it also aligns to the way that you best work and you best shine. So we've got some clues about that. We get so hung up on doing all the stuff, but what we're focusing on in this program is being, that operating and being in this state of being and doing the things from that state of being. Okay, that's what we're doing. So on this exercise, it's a little different. So I'm going to just kind of explain what my thinking is on these questions. So if I wanted to discover my unique sales genius, I'd kind of first look to my past, and I'd think about, well, what kind of stuff did I like to play or pretend? What did I naturally do as a kid? And I was a shy, awkward kid, very shy. I know it's hard for people to believe that now. And I'm probably head and shoulders taller than every kid ever. And so if you ever remember seeing the cartoon of the big giant duck called Baby Huey, I was very much a Baby Huey kid. I cried. I was very sensitive. And then I was hyper responsible because I was the oldest child, right? But when I would play, I played teacher, or I pretended like I was, like even when I was like 12, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So somehow there was all of my play, my imagining always seemed to be around communicating, helping, talking to people, and having an impact on people. That's the kinds of games that I imagined. I really didn't play babies or weddings or anything. I didn't play mommy and daddy. I didn't play any of that stuff. I was pretending to rule the world and talk. I was talking. I was playing all these different things. So I had the ideas being a writer, being an actor. I thought about being an attorney, but somehow there was always something around speaking and communicating. And I was naturally the kind of kid that I like to help people, and adults seemed to talk to me a lot. So that would happen. And so I want you to start thinking about when you were a kid, what did you like to play or pretend? Okay. And that could be anywhere from being little bitty and maybe even just younger, right? I mean, I remember first time I got a 3-piece pantsuit and I'm in my bedroom pretending like I'm conducting a sales meeting. I don't know why. But that was playing. So then what might be some golden moments in your younger years? And I pardon the typo here. I wrote this out at 5 o'clock. I got all excited about this. But what would be some standout moments in your younger years? So what am I talking about? Well, I remember different moments when I would talk to people and feel like there would be this kind of bubble around it, that there would just be this connection. I might meet them in line at the grocery store, or they were coming through my line, but there was always like these little moments. I always call them golden moments. And they were like these little pearls. And I wanted to have more of those on purpose. Sometimes I was just present to them. Maybe I got to be compassionate. Some way I got to show up in an impactful, meaningful way that made a difference. And I really loved those. I wanted to create more of those intentionally. Another golden moment would be when I was with my dad and I went out with him to, my dad liked to trade a lot of stuff. He had grocery stores, but he had this kind of gift for trading. And he was out meeting a man to find about trading one piece of equipment for another. And we drove onto the guy's farm, and you've probably heard the story from me before. But as we're driving on the farm, I'm looking around, we're driving through this orchard, and the trees aren't really taken care of. And I see this little red farmhouse with white shutters, and what's cut out is hearts. It's just the cutest little thing. But it was old, and the paint was peeling, and there was all this kind of used equipment in the yard, and it just all was run down. And my dad got out to go deal with the guy, and I'm sitting in the car, and I'm imagining that I'm a writer. And I'm thinking, I bet this guy was older when he got married. He built this house for her, but it didn't seem like, something happened. They weren't married very long, and she died. And somehow he just lost his heart for the place. And that was just my thought. My dad got back in the car and said, wow, I feel really sorry for that guy. I was like, why? Well, turned out he didn't get married till he was 49. And they were only married for 3 years, and she died. He built this place for her. That was her house. But, when she died, he just lost his heart for the place. It just seemed so sad. I was like, what did you say? I mean, like, literally told me the story that I had just told, right? This was tuning in. So these are these kind of moments, right? What kind of interest or activities were you naturally drawn to? I was always interested in hypnosis and power of the mind, and I don't know why, but just those types of things. I always loved self-help books and just these stories of people overcoming tremendous odds. I was always drawn to business and enterprise. I was the kind of kid that I would go out on my bike, and back in the olden days when we could trade in soda pop bottles for change, and I would buy more soda and candy with it, or Later, I filled my gas tank with those same bottles. Just always like, I just had that hustling spirit. But I remember also going on my bike too on big trash day, and I would go see really good stuff, and I'd pick it up in the alley, and I'd clean it up, and I'd put it out in the yard, and I'd sell it. And I did that when I was 13. And so I was always naturally drawn to opportunities. Okay. So we'll do that. And then the other thing is like, what's a weirdly wonderful thing that you like about yourself? You know, do you secretly like that you're kind of opinionated? Do you have a point of view? Do you know how rare that is? Do you like that love learning new things? Do you like the fact that you like to work hard? What's a weirdly wonderful thing about you that you like? Okay. For me, I could say, oh, I'm this great psychic. I have this stuff. But what I really like about myself that I appreciate is there's a way that I know how to be curious and have a conversation. And I know how to use my imagination to be in different points of view in that conversation. Okay. Because I have a good imagination, that made it easy to open up my intuitive gifts and to accept it. And I kind of had this idea that it's in front of me, I must be able to do it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in front of me. Right. So I really have this really great way of observing my reality, asking questions, having like this different conversation with myself, and then observing how things change in the world. So I like that about me. And I also like that I sing. I sing to myself. I sing to the kids. I'm always vocalizing and singing somehow. So what is the thing about you? What's a professional achievement that gave you the most personal satisfaction? What kind of things do people usually ask you for? Like, what's some common advice? What's a common thing that you hear from people? And I always was like, hearing, I need to make money, or I'm stuck in this situation. I don't know how to get out of it. And I wound up really gravitating to people. And really, I loved the times that I could encourage someone. Okay. Now I have to kind of move over here. I'm sorry, there's a thing to make it. So what is your personal go-to strategy to make things happen or get results? My go-to is, how do I get a group of people together? When I had my identity stolen and I had to generate cash as fast as possible, I looked back to my most recent people I had met. I called them and I said, hey, who do you know that would like? And I would put this together in one group, one lady. And I talked about the fact that she was really into psychic stuff. And I said, hey, who do you know that would like to get a card reading? I could totally do some tarot readings, and I'll pay you X amount of money for everybody who does that. Let's put together a group. Well, she wound up putting 30 people together. And then I contacted some people that were in MLM that I was a part of. I was like, hey, who do you know that wants to overcome some limiting beliefs, that wants to feel more confident? And they put together 10 people. And then it was just like, I had 3 different things that weekend. And I wound up making triple my regular paycheck, which should have been my clue that I could actually leave the job that I hated, but I did not pick that up at the time. And so here's the other thing. What do you wish people would ask you about? I was listening to this incredible interview with Ramit Sethi, who wrote I Will Make You Rich. And he is an incredible marketer, and he teaches people how to negotiate higher pay raises, but also he has a really wonderful philosophy on gaining wealth without deprivation. And I love Ramit. He's a young guy, and he is an incredible researcher, and he has a big team, and he makes a ton of money, but he's very generous in the content that he gives. Ramit Sethi is his name. But someone said, well, what do people usually ask you? And he told them, they always ask, how do I make more money? How do I get my salary? How can I talk to my boss about this? But he said, what I wish people would ask me about? How do I research? How do I go deep dive? What kind of questions? What are my systems there? Because if people really learned how to research and ask the right questions, they could make more money than they ever imagined. So, what do you wish people would ask you? And then finally, when are you at your best? When are you in that engaged, in that flow, and you're like just on? And then one of the commands, once you get this, it's going to start painting a really interesting image for you. You're going to start getting some insights to yourself. Then the command is, I don't know how I connect to my unique sales genius. I only know I am operating, pardon the typo, I'll fix that, from my unique genius now, and I am fulfilled. And then just think some more about how your genius has shown up in the past and it's showing up now and how it could show up in the future. We're opening ourselves to thinking about this stuff in a more powerful way. Okay? So, let's see here. Someone said, there's a part of me that knows what to do. I just need to connect with that part as it aligns with who I am. Awesome. Has this been helpful? Does this sound fun? Okay. So, this is your mission today, is to spend time meeting yourself as a sales genius. Okay? That there's this part of you that naturally wants to express in the world. And we're, for our intents and purposes, we're putting it through the lens of sales. But hey, if you want to do it as the lens of an expert or being someone who's a money attractor or an opportunity attractor, an opportunity creator, you can put whatever filter you want on it. Just for the purpose of this 5-day challenge, we're focusing on that aspect of you that absolutely knows how to make those sales, how to find that ideal customer, how to connect with them, how to demonstrate great value, and how to ask for that sale and then deliver on those promises that you made, which is what sales are, right? So this is to meet that part of you, but also this is to meet that innate part of you that you were born with, that is your uniqueness, your unique superpower, your unique genius as applied to this talent. So it's like letting that unknown part of you and have this kind of conversation between your ordinary self and this greater self. And just like me with the one command, it started would direct me, and my intuition would guide me to do certain actions and then direct me on what the next area of study would be. And I told us all the time, I said, the one command is talking to me. And your business is talking to you. Your opportunity, your ideal customers are talking to you. That communication is happening all the time. And as you start adjusting these filters and clearing these negative beliefs, and you start activating your hidden gifts and these talents that have been kind of blocked by these judgments and these fears and these doubts, as that starts getting free to express, the world is going to start meeting you in a more positive way as the expert that you truly are, with a big mission to serve and be the solution that they're searching for. And I'm witnessing that in you right now. So this is your job today. Fill this out. I really want to get your feedback. Who's committing to doing the worksheet? Who's committing to this? Right now, I want to get your commitment. Okay. Then I want to remind you that we are doing a second live cast today at 3 p.m. Central. I've already got it posted, and I'm going to have just a little worksheet, but it's actually going to be more of a visualization because I want to teach it, and then I might make notes for it later. But I really don't want you to be hanging onto a piece of paper. I really want you to be able to be present with me this afternoon as I take you through this visualization, and you're going to love it. Okay, this is going to actually turn on a superpower that you didn't even know that you had. It's going to turn on that power of your imagination. It's going to direct it in a very powerful way to produce incredible results in your life. That's what we're doing this afternoon at 3 p.m. Central. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm a few minutes over, but we delivered a ton of content today, and you showed up in a fantastic way. And I'm so proud and pleased to be on your team. So until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I absolutely witness your mastery. Bye-bye, everybody.